Hey everyone, I'm Mike from Sam Ash Music, and I have the pleasure of speaking with Larry Fishman.
How you doing, man?
Needs no introduction.
To some people.
Anybody who's ever played a guitar has heard the name Fishman.
You're so nice.
Without a doubt. And we're here today to talk about your electric guitar pickups, which you're not really known for so much as yours as making great things for acoustic guitars.
Well, you're right about that. First of all, thanks a lot for bringing us down to lovely Long Island today. It's great to be in the Sam Ash headquarters. You're right. Fishman as a company and myself has been involved in primarily acoustic instrument amplification for almost 35 years now. It's been our focus over the years, and we got pretty good at what we do. Yeah, I'm really excited about this. This basically came out of a project we started 2 years ago. That was an engineering project that we got to a certain point and we said, okay, we can make pickups. And my God, we can make pickups really do whatever we want. We can make this one sound like this one sound like that. We really figured out some of the key elements here.
The electric guitar pickup has been wound since 1934. 80 years later, we've unwound it. Original and totally reimagined, each Fishman Fluence pickup has two musically distinct and optimized voices right on board. These voices start with the revolutionary Fluence core, the very heart of the Fluence tone. From this Fluence core, we then create the classic timbres and tone colors you've come to expect from great electric guitar pickups, as well as some you've never experienced. Fishman Fluence pickups are the first real reimagining of electric guitar pickup systems in over 80 years. Fishman Fluence. Everything you hear is true.
Through basically a happenstance of having the right people in the room, the right engineers, the right equipment, measuring techniques and stuff. But, that doesn't make a product. That doesn't make a musical instrument. So I loaded the project up with some great guitar players, along with the engineering expertise. And I think we came out with some astonishingly good pickups that people are going to love. And this is really just the beginning, too. I mean, our problem was not what to make, but it was what not to make. Man, we had so many choices. So in our single width set, we started with a really vintage 54 staggered pickup underwound type of Strat sound, which people really love, and we gave it a little more juice, a little more output level, so it could be really useful all the time. And then in our second...
Hold on a second, let me get this straight. So that means I can hit the front end of my amp a little harder.
A little harder.
Without, and still has the character of a lower wind.
Exactly. It's got the magnetic field, so it's low string pull to start with. But we didn't have to give away all the output that means. So we put a little extra gain in the pickup, but the fact that you can now roll the volume control back without changing the sound of that pickup makes that vintage pickup more like 2 or 3 pickups at once, because you're not stuck with a low output pickup only that has a lot of chiminess and high end. We're giving you that gorgeous sound at multiple levels. All you got to do is roll your volume.
Okay, so we've got an active pickup which is going to scare the hell out of a lot of traditional lights. Now, but I can roll off the volume control and not have it work as a tone control all the way back down. And I'm gonna take some of the gain out of the pickup.
That's
I'm
right.
gonna clean up just like I can on a vintage Stratocaster or a vintage Les Paul.
That's right.
I can roll down and clean the thing up and then roll it back up and hit it hard.
That's correct.
And we were talking before the interview, and you told me that your double space pickups, you're telling me that you load these with alnico magnets?
Well, basically, when we started looking at the project, we realized that the magnetic field is absolutely as critical as the number of turns of wire or the coils or whatever. And we had to get the magnetic field right. In fact, we actually built a 3D scanner that lets us look at magnetic fields. Like, I've seen pictures of magnetic fields from humbuckers. I mean, no one's ever seen this before. I was astonished at what we were seeing. So our ability to match the output, the magnetic field of a classic pickup, got us 50% of the way there. Okay, we do have our pickups are humbucking, are double space humbucking. They just don't have wire on the coils. Our coils are solid printed blocks of multi-layer, 50-layer printed circuit board replacements for wire. So we are humbucking because we have two modern coils that are the new technology taking the place of those wire-wound coils, but they function the same way. They sense the change in the magnetic field caused by the string moving around. They cancel by being side by side. So basically, it's got, like I said, it's really what the best, it's an idealized version of what the best pickups that we all love bring to offer without all the issues.
So they won't be all over the place. Most guys that have had the pleasure of playing a number of different sets of PAFs or a number of different Les Pauls know that the tone can vary from one to another in small degrees or larger degrees.
I totally agree. You know, we didn't start imagining sounds. We actually bought a lot of really great pickups so we could measure them and we could use them as reference when we were building our sounds. And the amount of variation we found from the best pickups manufactured by the best companies was very disturbing to me because there's huge range. We actually have solved that issue right now because our printed coil technology is so precise that we get the inductance and the DCR and the capacitance that we specify every single time.
So you can build in the imperfections of an older style pickup, but just make it the exact same way every time.
And we can keep doing it, yes. And that was a really, for us, great. We said, boy, we can really, really count on this stuff.
What would scare me as a guy who's been playing traditional style pickups is that the first argument I would say is, well, man, it's the inconsistency that makes them good. But you don't want inconsistency from pickup to pickup because you can get a good one and a bad one.
We call that inconsistency chaos when we build pickups. In fact, in our single width pickups, we had to put some chaos in there because chaos and inconsistencies in pickups, be it shorter turns or whatever's creating the inconsistency, also give character to the pickup. So there's a character factor in there.
Absolutely.
Right. And
Like
we appreciate that. Believe me, we're not saying that's bad or not there. We're trying to get to the same point as the best of those are and be able to do it again the next day and then the next day.
So your pickups have the character of a inconsistent pickup, but they're consistent within from one pickup to another.
It's just like my wife, consistently inconsistent. God bless her. It's not. We can count on them sounding just as broken as we ever want them to sound. Every single time.
That's interesting because
Right.
we all know it's some of the things that were poorly designed that ended up being the things we love the most.
Exactly.
Like a Fender amp distorting.
Oh God, yeah. You know, we're not. It's really funny when you're working on trying to do something new in a tool for an artist. Pickup as a tool for an artist that's been done the same way for 80 years. You're stepping on some very, very sacred ground.
Sure.
And you got to be careful that you don't go in there and try and reinvent things or say you've done, something remarkable that's never been done before. We're very cognizant of that, and we're very, we appreciate exactly the best of the broken sounds and the inconsistencies in sound that created that magic. We just are taking the technology that we have a handle on, the modern tools, and we're applying it in a way that can help us get the best of the best. Not something new as a replacement, but wow, that is a really great, great sounding set of pickups. Let's see if we can make that available to a lot of people.
So I've got no 60 cycle hum. I've got two separate voicings. I've got no tone sucking when I roll the pickup down, which is like unheard of.
Exactly.
And I've got no signal load problem.
Right.
If I want to run a 20-foot cable into a pedal board that's got 5 pedals on it in true bypass and another 10-foot cable to the amplifier, I don't have to worry about losing my high end.
You can run a 100-foot cable if you want.
So cable length has zero to do with what's going to happen with these
Up
pickups.
to about 250 feet. which I don't think we're going to be running 250 feet of cable today.
No, probably not.
Hopefully not. The first voice we chose were, really the classic Fender vintage Strat style underwound pickup. That's where we started because, that's a coveted pickup. People make a lot of great music with it. And I thought, man, if we can deliver that in a noiseless configuration, we're going to make a lot of people happy.
So basically I'm running...
Everything you knew before.
Right, and then when I pull the
When
coil...
we pull that up, we go into sort of a Stevie Ray Vaughan type of more overdriven hot-rodded pickup.
So I've got kind of a clear, crisp right sound, and then a hotter, more mid-rangey
It's
sound.
got more mid-range. It's got more juice. The low end, the very top end is brought down a little bit. It's that real blues sound that high volume blues sound that you can get. They're two. I don't want to really say they're this or that. They're two categories that we defined as traditional and more rock involved as far as the Stratocaster type instrument.
So it's like having two Strats, a brighter one, a more classic sound, and a little more modern sound.
It's
all in one guitar.
It's absolutely like that, and also you don't have the hum, 60 cycle hum, so you can use these in studios. You can use them in clubs without having to find.
And they still have the Strat sound. So when I go into the middle positions, I'm still going to get all that spank.
You got everything that you always had in the Strat, except you get it every time. You get it without the hum. You get the ability to modulate the volume on it, and you get all the familiar switch positions that you've always had.
And when I roll the volume all the way down,
Yeah.
it doesn't suck the tone to death.
It does not kill the tone. Absolutely. The tone does not get sucked out of the instrument, which means, for some guys that are using channel switching amps, you don't need to use that anymore. You just roll back and you're in your second channel.
Very interesting. What about the single cut design?
Basically, the world of humbuckers is a little more complicated than the single spacing world because, there's some distinct differences. Those pickups sort of lie in one class in my mind. They're good single width pickups, and there's a couple of different versions of it, but they cover rock and roll and blues and country and all of those things. But when it comes to humbuckers, really there's two worlds. So we looked at the first world, and that's what we call our classics. And these are what you're going to find in a really great Les Paul. And we decided that a starting point would be go back to the Seth Lover PAF 59 type of sound that people all over the world recognize and love. And let's start there and give that sound to the player, with the exception of having a little more level available if they choose. Because what happens, a lot of people don't realize how chimey and airy and almost Telecaster-like a real PAF sounded like. And those beautiful pickup sounds have gotten lost because the original PAFs, being bright, airy, and chimey, did a lot of amazing things, but they didn't hit the front end of a Marshall quite hard enough. People started making, okay, we'll make up for the volume deficiency by winding more wire on pickups. And that's where this whole aftermarket and this whole pickup industry came from. Is
not to mention the pedal industry.
Well, exactly. It's trying to get the correct level into the front end of the amplifier. Unfortunately, when you take a passive wound pickup and you start laying a lot more wire on it, you do get more output. There's no doubt about that. But you start moving the resonant peaks down and moving them around.
Changes the entire character.
Changes the whole character. So we said, wow, what if we could come up with a real PAF response, but allow it to operate at higher levels without affecting the high end and the tones. So that's where we started with our classic, and that's our voice one in the bridge and neck is a great classic PAF type of sound. But realizing that these guitars are used for a lot of different things, and a lot of that hot-rodded, overwound sound has permeated into the music. A lot of great music has been made that way. That's where we went with the second voice. This is more of a hot rod type of sound. Our second voice is more of a hot rod overwound sound in the bridge pickup. But when it comes to the rhythm pickup, it's, we had a lot of decisions to make, and we said, here, let's get a little playful here. Let's do something with this pickup that really hasn't been done before. And we decided this is going to have a really clean sound with a little sucked out mid in it and a little more hump in the bottom end and the top end. And I think we've delivered an incredibly musical sounding neck pickup here that you probably haven't heard before in an electric guitar pickup. But we didn't go nuts. We didn't run off the bridge. We went in a very musical direction with this.
So you kind of took the mud out of the neck pickup.
Exactly. And that's really a lot of use for a lot of different styles. And face it, so much work is done down here. Having those two, that classic sound, that more overwound sound, was where the meat and potatoes was. And then we needed to come up with appropriate useful sounds here. Like I said, we can put, because of our technology and our approach, we can put these pickups in any space we want. Figuring out the right space is always the hardest thing. I think we've got a great, and we had a lot of opinions here and a lot of people involved. I think we came up with some great solutions. So, and I want to add one other thing. Putting active pickups in a guitar means a certain thing to a lot of people. We didn't want to get pigeonholed in there. We did active pickups correctly, I think. We didn't do it just for that metal sound and that compressed and kind of bulbous sound that certain types of music depends on having. But we took all the attributes of active pickups and we gave them to all kinds of players, to country players, to mainstream rock players, to anybody that was looking for a classic type sound. We made them active to solve problems and to give them more flexibility. And we didn't just say, okay, you figured the battery out. We really came out with some smart solutions. So if you have a Les Paul type guitar, you want to put a set of active fluences in here, all you have to do is change this cover, and this has a built-in rechargeable lithium-ion battery that you charge with your cell phone charger. So we solved the battery issue. Everyone's got a cell phone charger. It's a micro USB. You plug it in, charge it for 2 hours. It gives you usable life, depending upon the pickup set, so between 150 and 250 hours on a charge. So you never have to worry about it. You're not poisoning the environment by throwing batteries in the trash can every month. And it gives you a reliable way of getting all the solutions that this approach to active pickups bring to the party without having to turn your guitar into a contraption or putting a hole in the guitar for a battery or something like that.
So there's no routing involved. I don't have to route for a big battery compartment or
nothing. You change.
And I don't have to change a battery. I don't even have to turn a screwdriver ever. I can just plug mini USB or something in there.
That's right. And that battery, with the number of charges, I think we calculated, it's probably going to be good for at least 20 years. It's just ridiculous what's in there. So
you'll be changing the frets before you change the battery.
If you play at all, you will be. The battery solution, by the way, in the Les Paul type guitar, and we have a standard battery, universal battery solution for other shapes of guitars that have cavities in the back control pockets. But on the Strat, I was really pleased when we came up with this solution. The Strat's the toughest case for batteries, and in this case we've got a rechargeable Fluence battery pack on the back of the guitar that bolts onto the existing hole locations of the spring cover, and it's rechargeable with your USB. It's got a battery function indicator on here that lights up and starts blinking when you have about 20 hours left on the battery, so you still do 2 or 3 gigs at that point if you haven't bothered to charge it. Since it is USB, if you forget to charge something and you're on the way to the gig, you can charge it with a cigarette lighter in your car. So I think we've taken all the objections out of batteries, And if you happen to have a guitar that has a battery compartment already in it, it's got active pickups, and you want to go to Fluence Pickups, it'll run fine off that 9-volt battery that you have already in there. So just try to make it easy, take the objections away, bring a lot of great things to the party.
Wow, so it's not just noiseless. There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on there, and I think people are going to find ways to make really great music with these pickups.
All right, let me just clear something up here. We've got multiple tones coming out of these pickups, right?
Right.
This differs from the Strat in that each pickup is voiced differently, where the Strat's one set.
Yes,
but
exactly.
these are magnets in here. These are Alnico magnets.
That's right.
So when I change from my PAF sound to a higher output sound,
Right.
is that digital modeling? What is that?
No. There's nothing digital about this. This is pure, everyday, Class A, B analog circuitry in here. That's what makes it happen. There's nothing digital about this. Everything we learn in the lab about shaping sound, if we do it with a digital tool because it's easy, we reproduce it in a microelectronic circuit that's 100% analog. And you don't have to deal with high current consumption of digital processors, A to Ds, D to As, all that stuff. You got good old op amps, transistors, resistors in here.
Proof's in the pudding. We got to see what they sound like.
Check them out. Where you want to start?
Let's start with the Strat. Sounds about as stratty as any Strat I've ever heard.